a paycheck.
Thank you very much.
But now- Now you're ultimately.
I'd like to welcome all Rotarians and guests in the room and on Zoom. My name is Steve Spurlin, your club president this year. Each month, Rotary highlights a theme of interest for all Rotary clubs throughout the world, and this month, the theme is basic education and literacy. And how do we do that? By mentoring, teaching, and adult literacy. As you know, this year, President Francesco Areza highlights the theme United for Good. And Dave Mortel will help us with the four-way test. Stand if you were able.
All the things we think, say, or do, first is the truth. Second is the very well concerned. Third will build goodwill and better friendships. Fourth will be beneficial to all concerned. And fifth is fun.
Fun. We could remain standing and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For our current total for Happy Thoughts is $194 as we begin our journey towards our goal of $1,000. Before we do our Happy Thoughts again, first, John, do we have any extra from the lunches today?
Looks like got a count at 8 or 9. I will count.
Okay, well, approximately 8 or 9. We'll get the count. And Greg has the Happy Thoughts basket if there is anyone who would like to participate.
I'm gonna go out first because I'm really happy this morning because he was in Frank Allen, my grandson was born last night. So
Hey, what's that grandson's name?
yeah, Frank Allen.
Wow, man.
There, we got one right here.
I've got two happy books. One speaker, I'm Mason, former Rotarian, happy to be back at a Rotary Club meeting. It's been a while, so that's one of them. Second happy book, I brought Brian, our fire marshal, with. So we're about a week out from Fire Prevention Week. Normally gets attributed to the Great Chicago Fire. What people forget is the same day as the Great Chicago Fire was the Great Peshtigo Fire in northern Wisconsin. Much bigger than the Chicago Fire. 1.2 million acres burned, and 1,500 people died in their sleeps in Peshtigo, Wisconsin, the same day as the Great Chicago Fire. And that's why fast forward 100 some years, we've got fire prevention, so we can be reminded of fire safety tips.
Excellent, thank you.
I'm on the committee for Pancakes for Polio, which you'll hear about more about. We're doing a breakfast on Saturday, October 25th at Bunch Restaurant. And Eagle Rock Bank just came in as a $500 voucher, so we said we have $500. Sorry for
Anyone else? Audrey?
I put my hands up again and last week or week before, no, what's our last? Ginger Woodruff, we did our trip to the Boundary Water. And we had a lovely time.
Any mosquito bites?
Not bad for some, in September, I don't expect too many, but there were a few.
All right, okay.
Well, I am giving part to All right, happy dollars. I'm bringing $1 here because I started my 60 years ago in September to Rochester, Minnesota. I came here going one person, brought a suitcase with a clock radio. Rochester was 30 45,000. Now it's 120. And Mayo Clinic then was 5,500 people. And now they have 43,000 right there now, who's been helping me over the last 14, 15 weeks. So I'm $1 in here to go through there. 60.
Wow.
Well, some happy bucks for all my travels this past month. We went to Portugal and Spain. And that's why I'm interested in the presentation. It was a great trip, and I thought about Rotary all the time.
Like we all do.
Well, just because. All right, Sarah.
Well, I'm just back from the Black Hills, not quite Portugal and Spain, but the Black Hills is about halfway between Rochester and where one of my sisters lives in Pamplona, Montana. We met there. Purpose of the trip was to deliver the 1920s Victrola that I took from my family's farm. And some of you came to a 20s party around that Victrola. Well, I'm kind of at that stage where I think I should be kind of voting for stuff. So my sister and her grandson agreed to take it. So the Victrola will part of parties in Missoula, Montana.
And what is that?
It is a hand cranked phonograph. It was
Oh.
pre-electricity
Wow.
in a beautiful cabinet. Quite the deal.
And Frank.
Excellent, Raisy.
Yeah, I know our fire chief's gonna be here today. I didn't want to get scolded, so I went out and bought a new fire extinguisher last night.
All right, anyone else?
All right, thanks, everyone. It's good to have
Congrats.
$10 for the extra dollars.
All right.
Good to have everybody back safe and sound from the travels that we've experienced. Today, Joseph will give our reflection.
Our club is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. A few weeks ago, I discovered that the public library has a digitized version of the post bulletin. I was curious to see what was written in 1925. I ended up finding 35 pages that mentioned Rotary, and that's certainly not all. The first mention was on Thursday, April 23rd, 1925. Rochester will promote Rotary Club, says Flynn. Mr. Flynn was a district governor. On Monday, May 4th, the headline read, Rotary Club to be organized here. Initial meeting to be held Tuesday. This meeting was held on May 5th, 1925 at KL Hotel. And on Wednesday, the Post Bulletin said, Reverend Sheridan is named president of new Rotary Club organized here. The headline on Friday, May 22nd said, Rotarian hears new president in inaugural. Reverend Sheridan demonstrates his exponent of principles of Rotary. 100 years ago, the Post Bulletin was the main newspaper in Rochester. The fact that it was often written about the Rotary Club at that time speaks volumes about enthusiasm that club brought. It is not possible to cite individual articles in this short reflection. I will be happy to share the result of my search with you later. Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph. Alan, all this will, in a moment, help us take an introduction of our guests today.
We have one guest, Brian, will officially introduce our formal guest in a few minutes. Brian is with the Rochester Fire Department, and I think we have 30 seconds for you to say anything you want.
Right now.
Right now, introducing. No. Oh, you, not you.
Well, Chief Buller asked me earlier this week if I would be interested in attending the Rotary Club with him, and I'm honored to be here. I like talking with people. I'm a people person, so this place is welcoming for me.
Then you should join Rotary.
That's a setup.
On the spot.
So we wanted to congratulate all our members with September birthdays and anniversaries as listed in the pre-meeting slide loop. I will once again send around a sign-up sheet for our next meeting for the duties. Leader, facilitator, like Colin, who introducing guests. And remember that if you sign up, you will be entered for a free lunch. You have to do the program meetings. So I'll just start it over here. Before we move on to announcements, I want to mention that our club is in the due diligence phase for the possible bike ride during Rochester Fest next June. And that would be our next major fundraiser to replace the basketball tournament. We've been discussing this at our board meetings, and we will make a final presentation will be made to the club here at a program meeting on October 23rd. To be successful, we're going to need the support of the entire club. And this will be a chance to get your questions answered to your satisfaction. In the meantime, though, between now and then, if you have any questions, or if you in discussion with other Rotarians and come up with a question, please don't hesitate to bring it forward to myself or any of the other board members who want to get those questions out in the open and answered before we hopefully put our full support behind something like this. So as far as the announcements, are there any announcements today from anybody who has not already talked to me about the announcements? Bill?
Yes, just an opportunity for volunteer service in Channel 1. She and I have been going with the riser group, which goes on the fourth Monday of every month, 5:30 to 7:30. It's been a small group, pretty regular, and Bill and Elaine have been there, so the rest of you are invited.
Say again the time, Monday?
The fourth Monday of the month, 5:30 to 7:30 at Channel 1.
What are they doing at what time? They discontinued all the volunteers at COVID or something. What are they doing now?
Well, we've been labeling cans, we pack cereal, we don't do frozen chicken.
Hey!
It's been pretty good. So the frozen chicken days, I think somebody said something. It's been much better.
Yeah, Martine.
Well, you can go early and see what happens.
We're gonna also take a little time to mention about the polio, pancakes for polio. Vicky did mention that, but the details right now are being fleshed out, I guess is a good way to say it, but it was gonna be that we were gonna make pancakes, but no, we're gonna go to restaurants that are supporting this. And at this point, we have some commitments from restaurants. Two, it looks like there will be, and that's enough to hold the event for sure, but we're working on other places as well. And as those become known, we'll share that with you. But October 25th and the time again.
So we're gonna do it a little different, but it's gonna be kind of 7 to 11. We have a final meeting kind of tomorrow to get all the restaurants. Instead of doing a percentage, every restaurant said we'll give you $100 up front. We'll have volunteers on that Saturday at the different restaurants handing out literature. The VFW does not do breakfast, so theirs is gonna be an all-day thing. Just come in and we'll have volunteers here and support that since they don't do breakfast. We were gonna cook and try and get all these people, and we only had a month to get this pulled together, so we went this other route. Instead, it's all 3 o'clock. So it's just, we're gonna encourage the restaurants on the poster to go eat at those restaurants on that day to support them.
I think that'll work out really nicely. I was asked to mention about a new, well, actually, it's not a new program called Resounding Voices. It's a choir that is for people with dementia or memory loss and their caregivers. Here's that wish to sing. It's at, as you can see, the Calvary Image of Free Church on Tuesdays and at 11:45. And you can find more information if you desire at that website.
Steve?
Yes.
So what they do, I've got a friend who's been in that since it started. They need people to come and they partner with someone with dementia to help them if they can't remember the words. They need help remembering what the song. A lot of people, they know the tune, they maybe forgot all of the words and stuff, but they just partner with them and they do, I think it's 2 concerts a year. It's really cool.
Well, thanks. And I'm guessing that you don't actually have a lot to sing.
So actually, that choir is very, very good.
I mean, as an assistant.
Even so, you'll have a lot of fun, but I sang along with that choir one time I was in the Rochester Symphony Chorale and didn't have high expectations, and I was just blown away. This group is, like I say, is very good. The conductor really gets all of the folks into it. And the one thing with dementia, we had a presentation on it. And when there's memory loss, the one thing that kind of hangs around is music and song. So even though they may not remember their son or daughter, they'll remember the words and the melody to a song. But it's really an outstanding group. So I would encourage anybody that has the desire to join up.
Well, thanks for that, providing the details on that. Ellen is here to give us a little announcement for our companion club, which I'll take just a moment there.
Oh, no, you go for it. You start with it.
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm Ellen. I am the foundation director with Hiawatha Homes, but I've been in Rotary for a couple of years now. We heard about the companion club through, I guess you heard about it in Calgary. I have a friend in New Orleans who's part of it. And so we decided to try it out here in Rochester and see how it goes. So we're going to, in October, November, December, have a total of 6 meetings. That'll be on the first Monday and the first Thursday and the third Thursday. There's a handful of us that are kind of coordinating this, but it is designed to target the working professional. So we don't want to classify that with an age. Use your imagination. Also looking at, those mid-level managers that maybe can't get out in the middle of the day to come to a meeting, but they can go at 4 o'clock towards the end of their day. I can't read that far. Our first one is October 2nd. So is that next week already? Okay, cool. Next Thursday at Eagle Rock Bank. And then there's no charge for these first 6. Our goal will be to start doing membership charge in January with a membership drive. So we want to get feedback from those in the community to see if this is something that they're interested in. Well, it's open to all. The idea is that they'll be feeding into our Rotary Club as well. So their membership would then get them into a membership here too.
Second slide.
There's a second slide if I want it. Everything I just said, so $20 a month will be the membership dues, they could choose to pay it all up front, it'd be 200, so they save a little that way. Vicky, did I miss anything?
Yeah, just if you know anybody else you think is in that kind of target age group that again, or some people that can't make it to the new meetings, it's kind of gonna be a feeder organization, to get more people in our club. It's kind of a new thing they're promoting for people that wanna do a little service organization and short meeting and kind of be done with it. And that's what we're gonna focus on.
So we've got Salvation Army bells, we're gonna ring in December, in November, we're doing something else, I can't remember, Channel One. We're gonna be at Tilson Auto one day, and then we're gonna have a networking party at the workshop, so. These are open to everyone, but again, our target audience is trying to get new individuals in the Rotary, so.
I am not the target audience. I'm just helping look at it.
Vicky knows everyone and she has the time.
Which is a good order.
And she's good organizer.
Thanks, Ellen.
Want to highlight the fact that Cradle to Career is coming up. The summit is coming up October. Hard to read it at the bottom, but it's October 29th. In years past, Rotary has provided a outstanding number of people volunteering for the running, the scenes, registration, setup, chairs, speaking.
So, Steve, I have some additional information about that.
Oh, Marilyn, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I was hoping to be there today, but I wasn't able to be there. But yeah, I have some information. It's going to be at the Mayo Civic Center this year because it has gotten much bigger than what the Cascade Meadows facility can accommodate. So that's the good news. A lot more people will be able to attend. They will not need people to help set up chairs or to help with food setup and takedown because Mayo Civic Center staff will be doing those things. But there is a very great list of things that they will need us as Rotarians to volunteer with. One is going to be a before event setup where they are going to need people to assemble the packets with name tag and the breakout session information. So more information to come on that. Also, the setup is going to start at 7 a.m. The actual event is 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. this year, with setup starting at 7. And at 7, they're going to need volunteers to take supplies to rooms. During the event, they're going to need a photo op assistant, someone to assist a photographer and guests with props, traffic controllers to direct people to various rooms like registration, to restrooms, the mother's room, prayer room, elevator and lunch location. They will need people to clean up or tidy the space in the area for self-care sessions. They will still need session attendance to help set up for the new presentations or each presentation, open and close the doors and give the speakers a 15-minute warning and a 5-minute warning. And also timekeepers to usher people into sessions 10 minutes before the sessions. A little preview here. Evidently, Dr. Sood, if any of you are familiar with Dr. Sood, is going to be a main speaker, and they need ushers to actually help people find seats during his presentation. So I'll be getting more information about this at a meeting tomorrow morning. And the registration information I will be putting in Moccasin Flower, as well as a link for you to sign up to volunteer for these various positions. So appreciate very much and look forward to seeing many of you October 29th. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Marilyn. I didn't realize you were online there. Thank you for chiming in. So what have we here? This looks like mayhem. looks like total chaos. I'm sure we'll have an explanation for this from our speaker today. And Colin is going to introduce our speaker.
Okay.
I asked Mason to bring a bio. He didn't bring one, or maybe I didn't ask him, but I thought I did. So Mason was here several months ago. I asked him then if he would be prepared to speak. He's a former Rotarian, and I don't think he needs any introduction. But we'd like to see you and Ryan as members, wouldn't we? Yeah. Welcome, Mason. Thank you.
All right, well, good afternoon. My name is Mason Fuller. I'm fire chief. I'm new to the city, transplanted from Milwaukee about 8 months ago. So I stopped in like late winter, early spring, came to a meeting, introduced myself. Former president of my club back in Milwaukee, a suburban club. And yeah, have every intention of joining Rotary here at some point. The past 8 months have been a whirlwind, and to try to find time on my calendar has been crazy. So I apologize for not being more visible for all of you, but here I am today. So why am I presenting on the running of the Bulls? Great question. So as a former Rotarian, been to dozens and dozens of Rotary meetings, and as a new member, sat through a lot of meetings. Most meetings, our speakers, at least in Milwaukee, were other civic groups, charities, special events. City departments will come in, talk about what's going on in the city. Those are fine and good. One day we had a speaker cancel, and spur of the moment, one of our members came up and presented, and his name was Quentin Hatfield. And he was a long generations removed from the Hatfield and McCoys. And he gave a presentation about the Hatfield and McCoys, and it was so engaging. Everybody thought it was a great presentation. I was reflecting on that, and I run with the Bulls occasionally. And my first run into the Bulls, I met a guy by the name of Leroy Hatfield, and he was from the Hatfield and McCoys. And also these two things connected in my mind of like, you know what, be a cool presentation maybe if I talk about bull running at one of our empty spots on our club's calendar. So I put together a presentation. It went over pretty well with my club. I gave it to a few other clubs in the Milwaukee area. Colin reached out and asked if I would come talk in general about probably the fire department is what he was thinking. And I gave him two options. I said I could talk fire stuff or I could talk bulls. Colin opted for the bulls. So I'm happy to come back at some other time and talk about big red fire trucks. Those are cool too. Today we're going to talk about bull running. So before I jump into this, has anybody ever run with the bulls? Has anybody ever been to like a bullfight, Spain or South America? All right, so there's some bullfight people. Spanish or South America? South America. So a little bit of both. Okay. I think two different experiences. We'll talk a bit about bullfighting. I know it can be a controversial issue, so I won't get too much into that. Let's see if my clicker works. Let's see if this works. So the actual festival, so the big bull run you all know, and probably maybe see on ESPN 7 or something at 2 in the morning, or clips online, that takes place in Pamplona in Spain. It's a festival called San Fermin. It's actually a religious festival, and bull running is just one small component of that, but it's the one that everybody seems to know. Look at that, works. Cool. Or was that you?
No.
All right, then I will walk about Joseph, so you're gonna have a hard time keeping me on camera if that's your goal here. So on the screen, we see Spain, right? In the center of the country, Victor doesn't point, is Madrid, capital city. Barcelona, you all know, is way out here on the coast. And Pamplona is way, way, way up in the north there, right on the border of France. Now, it's a pretty interesting area. So it's what's called the Basque region. The Basque are a unique religious and ethnic group sandwiched between France and Spain. Genetically different than Spanish and the French. They're very proud of their heritage. When you go there, they have their own language. All the street signs are both in Spanish or French if you're on the French side of the border, and in Basque. So it's pretty interesting. This area was first settled by the Romans back in 79 BC. So the Basque people are living there by themselves, you know, oblivious to the rest of Europe and what's going on in the Catholic Church. And, or not in the Catholic Church at that point, but in Rome. The Romans come in 79 BC, take over and rename the city Pamplona. The Germans come down from the north in the first 4th century AD and wipe out the Romans. Germans leave, the Basque who are still kind of living like, what the heck's going on? First, the Romans come in and start killing people, and then the Germans come in and start killing people. and they rebuild their city and they call it Irunia. They still refer to it as Irunia today. Street signs say Irunia, welcome to Irunia. They're there for a couple hundred years, self-governing, living by themselves. 200 years later, the Christians come back from Rome, and take over again. Christians are there for a few hundred years. Then the Moors come up from Africa across the Strait of Gibraltar. They take over, they wipe out all the Romans. They then leave, and the Basques are hanging out by themselves again for a few hundred years, thinking life's peachy. And then Ferdinand and Isabella are trying to unite all the Spanish-speaking states in that part of the nation. They're kind of like thrust back into this newly formed Spanish Empire. Then Napoleon comes into power, and they're right on the border of France. So they're dab smack in the middle of this big battle between France and Spain. That ends. Franco comes in 1939, fascism, hardcore, Spain only all the way, and tries to crush the Basque. So all this leads to a lot of angst. We'll switch gears here for a second, go to the religious side of things. So Saint Fermin. So this is the guy the festival is named after. So he's the first guy the Christians, the Roman Catholic Church sends over there and says, all right, bring Christianity to these pagan Basque people. They don't know what you're talking about. We want this to all be part of the Christian Empire. So this guy goes by himself, rides the horse all the way from Rome to Pamplona. Eventually starts establishing a religion. The church is happy with the work he's doing, so they elevate him to the point of being a bishop. He thinks he's doing the right stuff. People are telling him, yeah, way to go. And then one day the Basques are like, you know what? Enough of this guy. We're not digging what he's saying. We're going to sentence him to death. So like, how are we going to kill this guy to make an example to tell the Catholic Church don't send anybody else back here? Like, let's strap him to a bull and have him dragged through the town until he's dead. Like, well, that's a good idea, but that seems pretty extreme. So why don't we string him up in the center of town? We're going to slice his belly open and then slice his throat, and that'll set the example. So that's what they do. He dies. The Pope makes him a saint. So they create this festival for him. You've probably seen it on television. Everybody wears the white and the red, and that is because of Saint Fermin. So the white clothes are for his paler skin, as all the blood had drained from his body. The sash around the belly is to replicate the disembowelment, and then the red neckerchief, that is to represent the slit throat. That's why everybody in town wears that for the 8 days of the festival. So this festival happens every year, starts on July 6th at noon. So Pamplona, northern Spain, small university town, 200,000 people, so not much bigger than Rochester, a bit more dense, taller buildings. But normally 200,000 people going to school, going to work at the bank, whatever, until July 6th. Everybody takes off work, everything's shut down. Everybody, like literally everybody, wears all white with the red sash on their belly. At noon, the anticipation is building up. Everybody's in the streets. The mayor comes out. It's a very old school city hall kind of thing. There's a big balcony, and the mayor comes out and gives a speech. And when the speech is done, the festival officially begins, and everybody takes off their red neckerchief and puts it on. You can't put it on before the mayor gives a talk. So you put your red neckerchief on. Now it's party time for the next 8 days. They estimate this brings about 200,000 people per day, and so they're doubling the population of the town every day for 8 days. And people from all over the world. So not just Spanish, a lot of Spanish, but a lot of Americans, a lot of Brits, a lot of Australians. Festival runs until 7 p.m. on July 13th. That's called Pauvre de Mi. So that's the last day of the festival. At 7 o'clock, everybody in the entire town lights a candle and sings the same song in unison, basically saying, Saint Fermin, we love you, we respect you, thanks for everything. Pour us, the festival's over, we have to wait another year. Candles go out, neckerchiefs come off, and the festival is over until the next year. Next morning, everybody's back to school, back to work, streets are clean, like nothing ever happened. So this has been going on for well over 100 years. Back then, there was no freeway, there probably wasn't even a train line, there wasn't an airport there. So like it was really just the locals doing this. And we've all heard of Ernest Hemingway. He's tied intimately to the bull runs, the bullfights. At this time, he's a struggling young writer bouncing around the world. He's hand hunting pigeons in the parks of Paris, trying to feed himself. And he's at a bar one day and he meets Gertrude Stein. And he's talking about what the next cool experience is going to be. And she's like, I heard about this thing in northern Spain called this bull running and these bullfights. You should go check it out. So he makes his way from Paris to Pamplona, and he's blown away by what he has seen. starts writing about it, and it becomes history. Now, he loved bullfighting. Hemingway never once ran with bulls. It's a misconception. So he's front and center in a lot of bullfight pictures. Never once was he on the streets. He wasn't brave enough for all that he did. He was not brave enough. All the sailfish that he fought, all his involvement in the Spanish Civil War, but he never once ran with bulls. And just an interesting tidbit, women were not allowed to run bulls in Pamplona until the 1990s. So like a little Rotary parallel there, right? You couldn't have women in Rotary until 1989. And in Pamplona, you couldn't run the bulls if you're a woman until 1990. So this is a scene from like the opening ceremony. I talked about the Chupinazo. So you see all these people in the street with their neckerchiefs not on yet, like screaming to the mayor, give your speech so we can start partying. It's all like 8-story buildings in Pamplona. The balconies are packed full of people and they're dumping like 5-gallon buckets of cheap red wine into the streets, just soaking the people beneath them as they're all feverishly waiting for the party to begin. This is the route for the bull run. So people always ask, like, how far is it? Is it like 5 miles? No, it's 0.8 of a mile. It's not very far. They ask, like, how long can you run like with them for a mile with the bulls? No, the bulls are so fast and so dangerous that you're lucky if you get like 3 seconds. Like they are so much faster than a human. And what happens is they start down here. So there's a bull pen there. So the bulls are all penned up together. The Santo Domingo is a big, steep hill. Bulls get released. A rocket goes off, the gates open. First bull comes out, the other bulls follow their pack animals. When the last bull comes out of the pen, another rocket goes off. So everybody on the route knows now that the bulls are loose and on the route. That's your warning. They run up the hill. They make this little kind of S-shaped route to the bull ring, into the ring, and then the run is over. So that morning starts at 8 a.m. every day. You've got to get there about 6 o'clock to kind of get in and get ready. Because there are so many people and a lot of really, really drunk people or people under the influence of drugs. The government does not want people drunk on the course or high on the course. So what they do is they shut the streets off incrementally and get everybody off the streets. There's big speakers through the town in like a million languages, basically giving a speech, warning, this is the bull route. You're about to run the bulls. If you don't want to die, please get off the streets. And it just repeats over and over. So the cops incrementally block off the streets and clear them. And then there's a corral at the beginning. They jam everybody in this corral, thousands of people, until 5 minutes prior. They start opening then the streets incrementally so that everybody there knows what's going on. And they've heard the warning 100 times. So the cops try to put eyes on as many people as possible. And if you look drunk, they pull you out of it. You're gone. You have a camera strapped to you, no cameras allowed. You're out of there, you're gone. So when you're in that pen, you're at the beginning of the route, there's a little tiny alcove with a little Saint Fermin statue there. Before the run starts, everybody that chooses to stay in that little area, they pull out their newspaper that they've got balled up, and they chant over and over the same prayer to Saint Fermin to keep them safe from the bulls. Everybody's got a paper because everybody's nervous as heck. Nobody's there. If you're not nervous, you have no idea what you're getting into. And in the paper, because this is a big spectacle, all 6 bulls that are going to run that day have like a bio in the sports section. So their name, their size, they come from different farms every year. So that what farm they're branded from. So then you're reading that nervously, waiting for your few minutes to run with the bulls. Some scenes here from the first big corner. People probably politically incorrectly called Hamburger Corner, because this is the corner where most of the big accidents happen. So the bulls are so fast, they've got a ton of momentum built up. They're thousands and thousands of pounds. And they get to this 90-degree corner, and what happens is they slam into this building here. So if you happen to be standing here, that's where the bulk of the injuries or deaths occur in the route. Once you make that corner, you're kind of home free. It's the main street. This is the bulk of the route. It's called Calle Estafeta. It's where I like to run. But you see, it's a heck of a lot of people. And people all the way up in the balconies. You can rent balconies for breakfast. The locals rent them out for like $50. Come in, have coffee and donuts, and get a great view of the run. Kind of the problem is, though, it's just a few people. If you see this mass of people right here, there's your animals. So if you're standing here or here, you might not even see them. So you've got to be prepared and kind of know what you're doing, have your wits about. At the very end of the course, it narrows. See how narrow that is? So that wide street narrows down to this little corral. That's called Telefonica. And then from here, you go into the arena. So I like to run like mid estafeta, try to get a few seconds with the bulls and into the arena. So there's me and my first run a few pounds ago. But yeah. Then you go through this little tunnel and you burst out of there. So you go from street into pure darkness in this tunnel, which feels like it's forever, even though it's like 50 feet long. And then into the arena with the sun blaring, and the arena is packed full of, I think it's 35,000 people it holds, that have all paid a few bucks to come watch you run into the arena with the bulls. What happens sometimes is somebody falls because it's getting narrower and narrower, and people start tripping on one another. That's called a montaña or a mountain. And people will build up like this deep, laying on top of one another, and the bulls try to run through and just start using their horns to do what bulls do. To make it into the arena, with relatively close to the same time as the bulls. Once the bulls are in, the guards kind of close the gates, nobody else can come in, but you're free to stay in there. The fighting bulls get corralled away, and they release what they call like training bulls. These are bulls that are young, too small, maybe their horns are a little cattywampus. They'll put a little protection on the end of their horns so they can't stab you, and they let these young bulls run through the crowd, and you can basically mess with the bulls. I try to stay away. Young Spanish guys are pretty brave, and they'll taunt them a little bit and like flip over the bulls. It's pretty entertaining to watch. But every now and then the bull hooks up with somebody and tosses them around pretty good. Now we'll transition from bull runs to bull fights. So bull fighting is like the national sport of Spain. There are, I don't know how many bull fights. Every small town has a bull fight at least once a year. Only a handful of towns have bull runs. The history of the run was to get the bull from the arena or from the corral into the arena earlier in the day, so that they could get ready for the matador. Usually one or two guys would go out there and bravely taunt the bulls to get them to come down the street to the arena. Younger men started watching, so they're like, hey, that's pretty cool. And they have a few beers. I'm going to run with this guy. And next thing you know, that would build and build and build. And now you fast forward and we've got 30,000 people running every morning running bulls. The bull fights, they're held in Pamplona each night of the fiesta. So there's 8 bullfights. Each fight features 3 matadors. Those are the ones with the sword and the cape. Each matador fights twice each night. So 6 bulls in total. On the bull run, you have 6 bulls and you have 6 steers. So steers are castrated bulls that are trained to know the route. They're a bit more docile, but they're still big and strong. So you've got 12 animals on the street running, 6 fighting bulls, and 6 steers. But so back to the bullfight, each fight is broken down into 3 acts. You've got the picadors, which are horseback bullfighters, the banderillas, the matador himself. Each fight is loosely scripted in stages to last about 20 minutes. These are televised like a sporting game. So you got to stay on a schedule for commercial purposes and everything. There's a celebrity judge that has like little handkerchiefs, and that judge kind of dictates the pace of the fight. When the judge is ready to go from picadors to banderillas, they put a certain colored napkin out there. That's an indication that the crew, like, all right, let's switch gears to the next act, keep this thing moving along. And at the end, depending on how good the matador is and how good the bull is, the bull always dies. That's just the nature of the bullfight. But depending on how good the performance was, the judge can award like different levels of award or recognition for the matador by putting up different napkins. A good fight is you get 1 ear. So they get to go up at the end and cut an ear off and hold it up triumphantly to the crowd. A really good fight is 2 ears, and a spectacular fight is 2 ears and a tail. These are what the most graphic these photos get. If you're into this, there's plenty of videos and things on YouTube, but they get more graphic. But I'm trying to be respectful of everybody's political opinions here. But these are the picadors. So the bull gets released into the arena with the matador by himself at first. There's a couple of passings with the cape just to like introduce himself to the bull, do some observations. But then he steps aside and the picadors come out on horseback. There's 2 of them. The horses are blindfolded so they don't panic, and they wear a big mattress thing for protection. The bull instinctively charges the horse. The picador has a big spear, and he does a couple of spears into the back that start damaging the back muscles, the neck muscles of the bull. which inhibits its ability to raise its head later in the fight. Picadors get done. The banderias come out. These guys, in my opinion, are like the rock stars of the bullfighting world. So they stand solo out in the arena with the bull with these two feathery little mini spears, and they taunt the bull to run at them. They don't move. And at the last second, they jump out of the way and they try to insert the two banderias into the back of the bull. Now, interestingly, the term banderia is used in other things. As I was doing my research for this, when I was trying to find photos, I realized, well, any food that has a pointy end to it, the Spanish call it banderia. So whether it's a little charcuterie thing with pickles or a corn dog, they call that a banderia as well. Then after that, the star of the show comes out, the matador. They've got they make their own like little suits called the suit of light with all the sequins. They come out, they fight the bull. They've got a sword and a cape. The goal is to plant your feet and not move and have the bull rush as close as possible to your body as you cape them by. You do this until the judge has seen enough. And at the end, you take out your fighting sword. Hopefully one thrust into the back, into the right spot. The bull should drop dead and the fight is over. Once the fight is over, the matador goes around the room triumphantly with his crew. People throw things to him. He like kind of just, the recognition of him picking up the thing, whatever it is, and throwing it back is a big deal for the Spanish. So sometimes it's seat cushions, flowers, whatever. This picture here, somebody somehow snuck a chicken into the bull ring, threw a chicken onto the arena floor, which is interesting. I use this picture. This is one of the more famous matadors. He's since retired, but his name was Padilla. He has an eye patch for a reason, and he guesses why. Yeah. Fighting a bull, he caught a horn through the bottom of his jaw and out of his eye sockets. Fell to the ground. His crew went out, they got the bull off of him, stood up with his eye still attached, waved to the crowd, and went back, and that was the end of the night. And he still fights, well, until recently, was still fighting with one eye. So that's the end of the bullfight part itself. We'll get a bit more back into the fiesta. Like I said, this is a religious thing. Every day there are parades and bands marching through every street of town. One of the more organized ones, because it takes some logistics behind it, is the gigantes. So these are these giant like paper mache costumes. They're still the original ones. They're still used every day of the fiesta. They're 150 years old. They get repaired every year. I'm sure they smell horrible inside. But there are 4 pairs of kings and queens that are made to represent, at the time, 150 years ago, what the Spanish considered 4 different races. So Europeans, Asians, Americans, and Africans. They're 13 feet tall. They weigh, like, I want to say it's over 100 pounds. And they, throughout the day, all day long, you just see these gigantes dancing in the streets with people. It's pretty impressive. The Toro del Fuego, or the Bull of Fire, every night, just randomly on these streets, like these big paper mache bulls come out and like they chase kids through the streets, launching fireworks at them. Very Spanish thing. Spanish love their fireworks. But it's just super cool to watch, something you would never see here in America. Hence, like our fire marshal would probably shut that down instantly. No fire marshal in Pamplona, so there's no rules. And back to fireworks. So I come from Milwaukee. I don't know what the fireworks scene is like here in Milwaukee. We're very proud of our fireworks. Like our July 4th holiday, there's fireworks all across the city and a huge display that, like, as a Milwaukeean, we're super proud of on the lakefront. Call it the Big Bang every year. I thought that was impressive until I saw Pamplona's fireworks. This is all 8 nights. It's a fireworks scene unlike anything I've ever seen. It lasts like well over an hour. It's like it's an hour-long grand finale of an American fireworks show. It's crazy. Set to the backdrop of like these really impressive 100-year-old buildings. Really cool experience. Peñas are bullfighting aficionado clubs. They're super immature and they drink a lot. And apparently everybody in the peña can play an instrument like rock stars. So there's peñas all over. They have a whole section in the bullfights, the cheapest seats that are completely in the sun. And it's like, this is high desert in July, so it's like 110 degrees every day. So the bullfight seats, the pricing isn't really set by height as much as it is how much sun you get. The longer you're in the sun for the bullfight, the cheaper your seat is because you're going to sweat. So these guys get the cheapest seats that are at the top of the arena in the sun for the entire bullfight. But they don't care because they're there just to bring their instruments in and play music and dump wine on people. But then throughout the rest of the day, their little groups just march through the streets playing instruments, playing practical jokes. 4 a.m., some balcony, you'll have a balcony the size of this table, and you'll have 8 painted guys with like a huge, big brass band playing music all night. This goes on for 8 days until the last day, and then it's Pauvre de Mi. So poor me, the festival is over. So everybody comes back out to the streets, says their poor me chant over and over again until the festival's over. You take your sash off, wait till next year. Like I mentioned, there are bullfights all across Spain, with the exception of the area of Barcelona, that state. Has outlawed bullfighting, so there are still old rings there that have been there for hundreds of years, but they're used for other events. They're not used for bullfights. But the rest of Spain still has bullfights. You go to any small town on the right weekend in the summer, you're going to see posters for bullfights. But not everybody has bull runs. There's only a handful. So we talked about Pamplona. Here's Cuellar, Stance, which is just north of Madrid. Villaseca. Onda, they run on the beach, which is kind of a cool thing. And then somebody mentioned they were just in Portugal. Right on the border of Portugal is a city called Ciudad Rodrigo, literally right on the border. They've got a pretty cool bull run festival that goes on there. We'll talk briefly about a few other things that are going on in the Pamplona area. One is called ETA. So I mentioned that this is the Basque region of Spain. To this day, the Basque want to be their own country. They don't want to be Spanish. They don't want to be French. They want to be Basque. So throughout the festival, there are certain streets that are Basque streets. You walk down one street, it might be all Spanish flags. The next street might have all these red, white, and green flags in the balconies, and that's a Basque street. And you better not walk down the Basque street wearing a Spanish flag, like as a cape or on a t-shirt, because they will let you know, they will throw things at you, they will try to pick a fight with you. So ETA is the Basque Independence Army, basically, kind of like we had the IRA. A generation ago, we had the IRA for the Irish Independent Army. Same in the Basque area. So over the past 30 years, ETA separatists have killed over 800 people across Europe in car bombings, building bombings, terrorist type things. So very big presence in Pamplona. We mentioned the political side of things. So obviously killing bulls is a very controversial thing. So PETA is often there staging protests throughout the day, understandably so. So just some examples of different PETA protests over the years. If anybody is interested in books on Pamplona, it's extremely interesting. First book I read is this one here on the left. So I never wanted to go do this. I consider myself a world traveler. I introduced a young firefighter to traveling internationally. That's a different story altogether. But a few years ago, we went out, we had some cool adventures together. And he's like, hey, we should start doing stuff like this every year. I'm like, cool, man, you pick it next year, wherever you want to go. And he picked Pamplona. I'm like, I don't want to go to Pamplona. He's like, oh, come on, it'll be fun. So I agreed to go. Didn't know anything about it besides the fact that Hemingway was there 100 years ago. So I got this book from the library called Running with the Bulls by Gary Gray. And he summed it up perfectly. I mean, talked about the fiesta, talked about all the things we briefly hit on here, talked about how to run bulls safely. Yeah, so that was kind of like my first guide. Once I was there, I met a million great people. Most of them have written really interesting books. So this one, the second one here, with the red cover, written by Ray Mouton. He's a retired lawyer out of New Orleans, run the bulls hundreds of times. Great book. Bulls Before Breakfast in the middle, Peter Milligan. So he is a lawyer out of Philadelphia, and his brother works for NASA. They're hilarious. So Bulls Before Breakfast is a play on Hemingway's book, Death in the Afternoon. So Hemingway wrote 2 books centered in Pamplona. Death in the Afternoon is about bullfighting. So death being the bull, in the afternoon for the bullfight. So he wrote Bulls Before Breakfast because he runs every morning. Mozos. So when I first walked in, the gentleman checked me in. It's like, hey, Mozos. Like that's what the Spanish call bull runners. So Bill Hillman, a guy from Chicago, former Gold Glove boxer, wrote a book called Mozos about his 10 years of running with the bulls. He has run like in every town possible. I forget the number he's at, but I think he ran over 100 bulls in one summer, in different towns. And then the last one, I can't pronounce that word. It's a fictional story based in Pamplona, written by John Hemingway. That's Ernest's grandson. So there are two grandchildren of Ernest Hemingway that still show up every year and kind of party with this group of people that I hang out with. So he wrote a fiction book set there. Speaking of Hemingway, so his two books, Death in the Afternoon and The Sun Also Rises, both I think made in the movies over the years. Big presence everywhere, statues in town, every bar's got a little mini statue of him and claim that he drank there and whatever. Who can prove any of that? And then we have a few extra minutes here, so I'm going to play two video clips. First one is from The Sun Also Rises, a movie in the 50s based off of Hemingway's book. It's got Eddie Arnold, the guy from Green Acres. Let's see if this plays. This is what I thought bull running would be like when I went. This is my only point of reference. I don't know if we have volume or no. Probably not. We'll skip ahead a few seconds here in a minute and get to the actual bull run. Here they're just talking about why they run bulls. Everybody still drinks wine from the wine glass. That's a big thing there. Everybody squirts it on one another just like that. So they're all wearing white, so it's funny to spray red wine on your friend. So here we see the rocket go off. That rocket goes off. That tells everybody on the course, okay, the gate is opening for the bulls. Bulls come out. Now, bear in mind, this is a 1950s or 60s movie. This isn't what it's like anymore. Second rocket goes off, meaning all the bulls are on the course. So it might have been that barren in the 1950s or 60s. That, again, was my point of reference. It's packed with far more people now and moves a lot faster. It does not work this way. You can't drunkenly crawl under the fence like this and just get onto the course like Eddie Arnold and his buddy are about to do. So there are two fences nowadays like this with only media and like Red Cross paramedics staged in between them and police to prevent people like this from coming on the course or sitting on the fence like that. Those obviously are not real Spanish fighting bulls. They're not nearly big enough. This would not fly, and everybody would be moving a lot faster than this. But this is what I thought it was going to be, and then a bunch of old guys sitting around at night smoking cigars. It's not the case. Skip ahead to the next one. This is the 2022 video. Stunning HD put up by the Spanish government. They've got great cameras everywhere. They got like the NFL zipline cameras down the streets now. So they put out some pretty cool videos. Those ones in the front are the steers, the whiter colored ones. So they're a bit nicer. The black ones here are the bulls. So you can see if you get a few seconds, they call it on the horns. That's the best you're going to do. I don't surf. They say it's akin to surfing, where when you catch that perfect wave and you're riding that wave for a few seconds, that's what like being on the horns is like. Here's Hamburger Corner.
Hurry that up.
The thing on Telefonica, the long stretch, there are no intersections, so there's no way to go. Like once you're on the course, you're stuck there. You can't like roll under a fence and get out of there. That's it. So I got 1 minute. Big questions. The question in the back? Yeah, so the question is what do they do with the bull meat after the fight? My understanding is they get butchered and sent off to like high-end restaurants for high-end meals. Anybody that hunts knows that usually meat tainted by adrenaline isn't that good, right? So I'm under the impression that the meat isn't very good. I've never eaten a fighting bull before. Not that cool or not that in the know. But I would imagine it doesn't taste that good, but I think it's more for the status, like, hey, this is the bull that was just on television and now we're eating it.
They talk about when you're getting ready to run, what your chances are of getting hurt and what you should do to get hurt.
They should, but they do not. I think incumbent bull runners, like you can tell somebody who's first time as a tourist, like you get the two, 22-year-old kids from Australia, probably never been there before, like try to give them a talking to. If people are really green, like you pull out a marker and you like write your phone number on your hand or your arm. So like if you're in the hospital, the hospital staff knows who to call, right? Because your parents don't know where you are, you're halfway across the work. But some people like don't even know what direction the bulls are coming from. Like, yeah, they're coming from that way. You're going to run this way. So yeah, not enough of that goes on.
So how many times have you done this?
That's a good question. I'm going to say maybe 8 or 9 years with multiple runs per year, depending on. Sometimes I get in the course, I'm like, I'm not feeling lucky today, and I just walk off. I'm like, and then you listen to your gut, right? But yeah. Why? So my very first year, I was between bull runs in the afternoon, hot, like I said, it's high desert, 110 degrees. And I'm sitting in this little doorway with a little cheap flask of wine, trying to stay cool. And a guy walks by and he overheard me and my friend talking. He stops, like, oh, Americans. And he was American. Yeah, starts up a conversation. He was a Vietnam vet. He's been coming for like 50 years. And he's like, I'll give you some advice, kid. He's like, running with the bulls is like doing drugs. You might get away with it once, but if you come back for a second, hit your hook for life. So we ran that year, made the mistake of coming back the second year, and then kind of hooked after that. I don't want to keep you guys up. It's a hard 1 o'clock stop. I'm happy to hang out and answer any more questions, but I know some of you have to get back to work.
We would like to thank our speaker, Mason Fuller, for a wonderful presentation. And thanks for your presentation today. We will be giving a donation to the Legacy Project in your name. Before we thank our volunteers for today's program, I would like to offer a special thanks to Lori Lukey for keeping the Moccasin Flower magazine up to date, timely, both interesting and efficient to read. Thanks to all our participating volunteers today, Sergeant at Arms, John Woodruff, meal facilitator, Audrey. Oh, Vicky, okay. Thanks, Vicky. Joseph Kalaka for the reflection, Frank Allen for Happy Bucks, and Colin for introductions, and also our speaker, again, Jason Buller, and Joseph for the AV and tech support, without which we would not be able to have a program today. So I would just like to remind our Rotarians to go forth in the world and unite for good. We are